Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shanghai. Step into China's world with advanced transportation and architecture. Join us as we explore the city's delights.
So today I attended a Brony fest in Shanghai with my daughter, and this event is kind of like an afterthought because the main event was in the south of China, and it also had the voice actor of Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, which my daughter was kind of sad to find out that she wasn't coming to the Shanghai event. The event itself was the first kind of PonyCon I've ever been to. The hotel was nice, but not enough seatage, especially once you got inside.
Why don't we know the world can get you down? Stop. You feel sick.
To be fair, the only real interesting thing we really saw on stage was Andy Price doing several drawings very quickly, and then there was some sort of game going on where they had to kind of guess what was going on in the drawing, and that was fascinating to watch, and my daughter liked that. We missed the voice actors on stage because we were waiting on a queue for signatures, and no one told us at the event that they had left and that they would be back soon to sign, our autographs. And it just seemed like a very poorly organized event where they should have told everyone what was going on, because we would have stepped out and watched the show of the voice actors and then came back to the queue. At the end of the day, I'm not faulting the stars of the show, the voice actors and Andy Price. Really nice, pleasant, especially during the signing. I didn't want to film it because their security was a bit kind of tetchy, especially when I pulled out my folder with my cards. They were kind of freaking out that I was going to ask them to sign my cards. No, I just want to sign my folder. But this is the difference between a fan-run event and a official-run event. And what I mean by that is, last week and the week before that, there was the Ponyverse event in Shanghai and in Shenzhen, and it's night and day because they actually had mascots there, official vendors like Kayou and Casio and a bunch of others, and on top of that there were drinks at the event. When you got into the actual hotel, it's just this massive granite monstrosity, and there's no way you can get a beverage or food. So when you get into the side of the actual event, you think, oh, I should be able to get some, at least a drink or whatnot. No, there's nothing there. So the whole organization of that event just seems to be really poor. The staff again just seems to be a bunch of young lads who are just playing with their guitars and singing and mucking around, and actually really doing their jobs. There were a few games, but this was the only one worth me filming. The rest of it was just something you would see at a school fete, and it was really poorly. As I said, this event just felt like an afterthought compared to the other one in the south of China, which you could really do was wander around looking at all the little boutiques. And sure, they had some interesting cards and standees and stuff, but apart from that, my daughter found it very boring. It sounds like I'm throwing a lot of shade at the event, and in some extent that is true. I got there from 1 o'clock, and by 4 o'clock I got out there. So I missed whatever was in the morning, from 11 I think it was. So maybe I missed 2 or 3 hours. But everything seemed to be wrapping up by the time it got to 4 o'clock. At 5 o'clock things were going to die down, and then officially the event would be over at 5:30. But really there really wasn't much going on. And when I compare this to sort of footage of events, unofficial events, run in like Europe and in America, it's night and day. It really is. Like, for example, the stuff I've seen like run in the UK is very professional. Staff are not just dossing around, they're making sure that like things are run well. Now, originally I wanted to go to the Ponyverse one, but my daughter had a fever at the time. I think like if in the future I won't go to a fan-made event here in China, I just don't think it's worth the money. I will go to the official events instead and see what that's like instead. There was a few things what kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, which seemed very mean-spirited, and that was like you had to be a VIP to be able to sit down in a chair in their like main room, and it looked like they were confiscating drinks from people before going into the actual event, and having no drinks there inside the event. Not cool. Though attendees were cool, a lot of them came along and thought my daughter was very cute and gave her lots of like little trinkets and stuff. She ended up having a massive swag bag and also guilt tripping me into buying her a huge towel. Only other news before we end, my store's open. Check it out.
I'm sure you've heard the words, "This is the way." But have you ever stopped to feel their weight? The Mandalorian is more than a story, it's a code. A creed about loyalty, found family, and the journey of redemption. So as we wrap up, remember, whether you're forging your own path or standing by those who matter most is the way. Hit subscribe, and let's explore the galaxy together.